going to start first.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you your name and your age.
Gotcha. I'm old.
You're old. I'm 44 this year, so hush yourself.
That's all right.
All right, so.
My name is Indigogh Grainger, and I'm 35 years old.
We're going to talk about your PTSD first. You can talk about, your military service or what inspired or what caused your PTSD if you want to.
Okay.
You don't have to talk about the trauma, any trauma. You could just say, I suffer with PTSD. The main point of this documentary is not necessarily about the trauma, it's about living with trauma.
Right.
Because that's the conversation nobody has. So if you want to talk a little bit about what trauma you had, we can start with that.
Okay.
So if you just want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm with it.
All right, so, tell me a little bit about, what happened.
It is a combination of things. I think that majority of PTSD starts from our childhood and then kind of explodes, when we become adults. So I was always outcast as a child, even from my family. Going through a lot of things. I lived inside of a household where it was an abusive relationship with my dad always in and out of jail, on drugs, drinking alcohol. So my mom had to deal with that. And going into the military, then becoming an outcast with that as well. Like people think that racism is over, but it's still big, even in the military. So having to deal with those things. So a lot of times I've gotten put into positions that were totally unfair. Even me being sent to South Korea was for a punishment that I didn't even do. And then after my orders was there, it was like, well, it's too late, we can't reverse them. So I was kind of stuck in positions, even when I've been deployed, dealing with that. So now, like, hearing the gunshots and, like hardly sleeping sometimes, because of flashbacks of being in certain situations. It's kind of rough, but learning to live with it. And I always tell people, like, the nicest people sometimes have the worst stories. It's just that we understand how dark it can be, so we rather love, so nobody can feel what we felt. But just a harsh reality. Like, sometimes this world's not the nicest, it's not the most comforting, it's not the kindest. So it's like, hey, while I'm here, I don't want to add to what's already screwed up. At least I can be a bandage,
You were talking about being an outcast, racism. How, and even your, PTSD and your trauma, how does that affect you now as an adult trying to navigate this world? And did you mention your age? How old are you?
35.
35, okay. You're still a baby. And you live in Baltimore.
Yes.
Which is a predominantly black area, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. But you're an outcast, even there.
Even still.
Okay.
Even still.
How do you deal with being that square peg, round hole? Like what is the worst? Let's start with the worst. Like, how do you struggle? What's your struggle?
Depression. Depression is real. It's a real thing. You may see the smiles, but a lot of times it's a mask. When we're alone and that mask comes off, a lot of people deal with overthinking. I'm always in my head, and I found a great way of dealing with the depression, dealing with the build-up frustration. So I go to the gym, also I write as well, and then, to believe it or not, like, modeling really helped me out. So when I went through my divorce, which just added to another layer of depression, it was just like at the beginning part of my modeling career, and I ended up meeting a guy named David, and he does a lot of like abandoned work and stuff like that, and it allowed me to tell a story like really deep tell a story. And the pictures may look dark, but for me, it was so, it was such a release. Like to really be able to be in those positions, be vulnerable in front of the camera. And it gave me that self-confidence. It gave me an ability to look at the world in a different way as well. So that's how I deal with mine, is really honestly through modeling, through going to the gym, through writing. Might sound a little bit corny, but like even anime, like honestly, like you see a lot of things, and like even like the speeches on it. If anybody take a good listen to anime speeches, whoever are the writers of that are insane. Like you understand after a while that life is a balance, you know, like even the thought of love initiates hate, because in order to protect love, like a lot of time it initiates hate. You know, even thinking about peace initiates war. It's like you can't have light without the darkness. And it's just like at the end of the day, even though all these things may have happened to me, you know, may happen in front of me, it's like I have a choice, and that gives me power, you know, to know that even through all of that struggle, I still have a choice to be who I want. You know what I mean? I choose to spread love. I choose to be kind. I choose, like, don't let these muscles fool you. I'm a hopeless romantic. Like,
that actually brings up a good point, because I had a girl in here whose boyfriend grew up in an abusive household, and when she goes in for a hug, he hits her. And he says, but that's how I grew up. So I kind of want to kind of touch on that, because you grew up in a similar household. So what made you choose this path versus being like that?
It just made me feel so disgusted. Like, and granted, this is not a, you know, me bash my dad. I know he had his own traumas and childhood things that probably caused him to be that way, you know. But for me, I was like, I don't want to be anything like that. So like, my father smoked, my father drank, I do neither. You know, my father carried himself a certain type of way. I'm the complete opposite. You know what I mean? So I just was like, I don't want to go down a path. And I understood the pain that it caused my mom. So I was like, I don't want to cause that pain on somebody else. Like, we supposed to be here to take care of each other. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's like, nah, I'd rather love instead of anything else. You know, and then I think it made me over affectionate. You know, so like, I understand like somebody coming in and probably doing that punch thing, but for me, it's like, nah, come on. Like I said, I'm a hopeless romantic. I go extremely over the top. I don't care if it's a first date or if it's a 300 date. Like, you know, it made me feel like every moment is valuable, and you never know when it's your last. So you better cherish it like it's your last. So I hold on to every opportunity, because I've seen death in front of my face. You know, I've been in positions where I've had to do things as well during the military, and it's like, you just never know. You never know. So your best bet is to live it to the extreme if you can, you know, so.
All right, I just looked to make sure it's still recording,
it's okay.
that you're not like going off the charts.
Yeah.
So let's talk about being on the other side of this, and being a man, being a black man in America, being a military man in America. You check all the boxes as to why most women would, right?
Oh, no.
No, you're good.
All right.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
You're muscly, right? You're fit. You're the nicest person I've ever met. What does that do for you? Like, what, I need people to understand how hard it is for someone like you, who has so much love to give, but there has been such a stereotype built around someone like you, that you have to fight for your place
Absolutely.
in this world. So
Absolutely.
I need you to explain the other side of it.
So even from when somebody asks me where I'm from, I say Baltimore, they instantly think I'm a drug dealer, I'm a thug, instantly, without knowing anything else. And then adding in the fact that he's bald-headed with a beard with muscles, oh, he must be a thug who beat up people, who just got out of jail, who is a player. And it's like, I've never been in jail, never used drugs. Like, I'm not trying to fight nobody. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm cool on all of that. But it creates a uphill battle. And it's like, I'm fighting a battle that I didn't even create. You know what I mean? And that's draining, because now I'm always feeling like I have to prove myself. You know what I mean? It's like, that's hard to find love or to be in a healthy relationship when you feel like you're constantly having to prove instead of just being. You know what I mean? Like, it feels, in a sense, kind of like I have to force it. Like, and that's hard. You know what I mean? And then just with that alone, it's like when you're trying to love people who sees nothing but an opportunity to find a flaw, it's like, well, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't, you know?
What does it do for relationships? Like, and we talked about this, but of course I'm asking for this. Does it cause it, is it a struggle to find a relationship because people see you a certain way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's kind of like people always trying to find a kink in my armor. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, you too good to be true. So what's the problem? I never said I was perfect. Like, I have my own flaws. I have my own issues. Like, but at the end of the day, like, I think that people are just wired so weird at times. Like, you take a bad person, they do one good thing, and it's like, I know you had good in you, and we keep fighting for them. We keep fighting for them. But the good person, as soon as they make one mistake, it's like, I knew it. And it's like, we're gonna bash you, and we're not gonna let you go of this one mistake that you've made. So it's like, I have to walk on eggshells. And it's like, well, I just might as well be bad at this point. Like, you know, it's definitely a struggle. It's definitely hard.
Do you find that you really want to do stuff like that, but you can't because you're you?
Yeah, so men don't have the space to have emotional breakdowns. And what I've realized is that, like, I'm very honest and open with anybody, even from like day one. Maybe a little too open, maybe a little too honest. But at the same sense, it's like, anytime I open up and really express my feelings, I've realized that as a man, I guess it's unattractive. And it's like, their attraction level goes down. And it's like, well, shoot, maybe I just need to hold all these emotions in, but then that sucks because you want a partner that you can be vulnerable with. You know what I mean? So like, you see this man in front of you, once again, that looks all big and strong, but at the end of the day, I'm still human. Like, I still have emotions. I still have rough days. I still want to be in a place of peace. You know what I mean? Like, I still want to be, and not to sound soft or anything, but comfort. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's honest truth, but it's like, as soon as I open up that door, the bashing comes in. Like, the times that I needed love, I was presented with distance. You know what I'm saying? I was presented with distance. And it's like, that sucks. So now I'm just in a process of like, well, you know what? The person that you've always been looking for love from has always been walking beside you. The whole time. It's been yourself. Like, you wanted somebody who was creative. You creative as heck. Like, you know what I mean? So that's where that self-love journey just kind of sort of kicks in. And, you know, but at the end of the day, we'll love to have a partner. We'll love to have a family. And if it's in the plans, great. If not, we're going to rock this thing till the wheels fall off.
Hopefully when people see this, though,
yeah,
fall in love. The darkness that comes with PTSD and struggling, I am a super outcast. Like, I've There's such a photography community around here, and I stick to myself because I have my own thought processes, and I don't like it. But I'm an outcast, so I get it. I've always been an outcast. Do you think that your darkness feeds your creativity?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, even when I was in the military, when I was, and it's bad, maybe I need to figure out a different way of doing this, but when I was like at my happiness, like at my happiest, I can't really create. Or do I have the motivation and drive to make it through tough times? So like right now, like training for, I'm getting ready to train for a bodybuilding competition and stuff like that. Like I have to take myself to like a darker place too, to make it through it. You know what I mean? And it also like puts me in a warrior type of mindset too. Like, all right, you know what? Let's strap up. Let's go to battle. I carry all my demons with me. And it's like, you know what? Let's go. And I've even realized like in my work, like just looking back throughout time, like I remember when I created this picture, like I remember when I did this, and it's like, cause I was going through that too. Like, so definitely I agree 100%. Like, which sucks though,
But some of the best work.
Well, if you think about like even artists, like great musicians, great painters, great poets, like when they've made their best work, something was going on, something drastic. Adele,
right?
One of the best albums. It's like she was going through a divorce at the time, so it's like, I don't know, human beings, when you add pain and you add hard times, it seemed like that's when our light can shine the brightest, I guess, which is crazy.
I wish more people understood that though.
Yeah, you just gotta redirect the energy in the right way. Pain can be a powerful motivator.
Yeah, it can.
Powerful motivator.
If you use it right.
If you use it right. If you use it right.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Do you have kids?
No kids.
Okay.
No kids.
Because sometimes I ask the kid question. That's why I asked.
Yeah, no kids.
Because like I've raised kids and I have PTSD, so I always like to ask that question
Yeah.
when they're parents.
Okay.
Was there a part of your journey where it did get too dark?
Yeah, I tried to commit suicide.
Okay.
So, I mean, I was like at the beginning stages of my divorce, and things just got really bad. Like, so going through the divorce, lost my house, lost my job because I couldn't focus at work, and they know it, so they let me go. This car that I was in love with, like she decided that she wanted to take the car, and I'm once again not bashing her, a great woman, just didn't work, bad timing. And through all of that, like went to this small little apartment that I had, took the gun, pulled the trigger, the gun jammed. And that's why I'm here. Never would imagine in that moment that this is where I would be. And years later, I ended up actually recreating like a picture with me, like with the gun to my head and this, that, and the third. But I think about it, like as much as I wanted to end things at that point, because I didn't think things was gonna get any better. And honestly, like I never even thought I would get to that point in my life, like ever that low. But I would have never got to where I'm at now. Like life right now for me is like, now that I actually sit back and I look at it, like I go through my ups and downs and hurdles and stuff like that, but my life is great. Like, if I'm being honest, like my life, I mean, it could be better, but it's actually pretty good. It's pretty good. And I made a video like, maybe like a week after I tried to commit suicide. And it's me literally talking to myself. And I'm like, you know what, get it together. In a while, none of this will even really matter. I was like, this is the goal, this is the plan moving forward. I believe in you, don't let me down. And I look back at that video from time to time, and it's like everything that I said in that video that I wanted to get done, got done.
You slipped up and said committed suicide, but I think maybe you actually did.
Yeah, I think I killed the old me.
Right. I always think about that. Like when you attempt and you don't succeed, that part of you is dead.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah. I truly believe that.
So you kind of did.
Yeah.
You succeeded.
Yeah.
Now you're a totally new person.
A totally new person.
What advice, because I think you're the perfect person to do this, would you give people like my son and those guys out there that struggle with having to, deal with a society where they're faced with women like me and other women who have been traumatized, and there are good guys out there. Like, what would you say?
First and foremost, as men, we usually look for love. Start with loving yourself. Start there first. And don't get it confused with being alone and lonely. So two totally different things. Like, accept your space, be comfortable in your space, and like enjoy it. Like, really enjoy it. Be welcoming for someone to come in, but enjoy your own space. A lot of times we want to bring somebody in to ease our own demons instead of fighting them ourselves. And then also just be patient. Like when you meet her, you'll know. Don't settle. Don't settle just because you want someone there. And we do that too. A lot of time, because she's pretty enough. She's cool enough. Like she doesn't get on my nerve that bad. You know what I mean? But it's not really what we want. So we just settle for it. But just work on yourself constantly. From how you want to look, how you want to feel, control those thoughts. Start reading. Like I pay attention to what loops in that soundtrack in my mind. You know what I mean? I was always told that I was ugly. I was an ugly duckling. You know what I mean? So for a long time, I couldn't look in the mirror. Now I can't even believe that I'm modeling. Like it's totally different. It's still shocking to me. So I would just definitely explain to them, like, love yourself first, be patient, and look for a partner who makes you feel like you're Superman. It's so important because women have powers beyond this world. And it's like, if she does it right, she'll make you feel incredible. So that's what you should look for.
Yeah, I think we're good, actually. I was going to say, I think you said enough.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Hey, let's get it.
Yeah.
Let's get it.